T-Rex had the eyes of a rabbit, not a wolf. Its arms couldn't reach its own mouth. Its skull was full of holes, and the math says it couldn't even walk without breaking its own legs. So what was T-Rex actually built for? Let's look at every bone, piece by piece, and follow where the evidence leads. Let's start with the eyes. Every real predator on Earth has forward-facing eyes. Wolves, lions, eagles, even your house cat. Forward eyes give you binocular vision, the ability to triangulate the exact distance to your target. Your brain uses the angle between your two eyes and the object to calculate range instantly. That's how a lion knows exactly when to pounce. Prey animals are the opposite. Their eyes sit on the sides of their heads. Horses, deer, rabbits. They sacrifice depth perception for a wide field of view. They don't need to judge distance. They need to see danger coming from every direction. Now look at the T-Rex skull. Really look at it. Where are the eyes? They're on the sides, not in front like a wolf. On the sides, like a horse, like a cow, like every prey animal you've ever seen. The so-called king of predators had the eye placement of a grazer. So how does that fit the predator model? And it's not just T-Rex. Allosaurus, Tarbosaurus, practically every large theropod has the same layout, eyes on the sides. The entire lineup of so-called apex predators of the Mesozoic had prey animal vision. Next problem, the legs. A predator needs to chase, turn, and strike. Four-legged hunters do this beautifully. A cheetah can make a sharp turn at 60 miles an hour, but T-Rex only had two legs. Try sprinting and making a sharp turn with no arms to balance you. You'll eat pavement. On two legs at high speed, any sharp turn means face planting into the ground. The physics are brutal. Without a front pair of limbs to catch yourself, you're going down jaw first. For a predator, that's a death sentence. And then there's the most mocked feature in all of paleontology. Those tiny, ridiculous arms. If T-Rex was a predator, what were they for? Every real predator uses its forelimbs. Lions pin down prey. Eagles grip with talons. Even crocodiles use their front legs to drag victims underwater. When a predator bites, the prey thrashes violently. Those front limbs lock the predator onto the victim and stabilize the bite. Remove the front limbs and you simply can't hold on. The prey shakes you off. The bite fails. The hunt is over. One common explanation is that T-Rex hunted slow-moving sauropods like diplodocus, whose nervous systems were supposedly so sluggish that signals took seconds to travel from tail to brain. So T-Rex could bite a chunk off the tail and run away before the animal even noticed. There's a problem with that. Nerve signals travel at the speed of electrical impulses, nearly the speed of light. The idea that a brachiosaur wouldn't feel a bite for several seconds doesn't hold up to basic neuroscience. But here's where it gets stranger. Look at the teeth. Every mammalian predator has canines, fangs, specialized killing teeth designed to pierce and hold. They hook into flesh and lock the jaw in place so the prey can't escape. It's the defining feature of a carnivore's mouth. T-Rex had 0 canines, not one. Its teeth were large, sharp, and serrated, yes, but they were all the same shape. No specialized killing teeth. What they look like, more than anything, is a set of surgical bone saws. Bone saws are perfect for one thing: cutting through a carcass that isn't moving. Think about it. Those teeth curve inward. They only work when you pull backward, ripping through flesh from above. That's not a hunting bite. That's a butcher's tool. Compare that to a crocodile, which is arguably the closest living thing to a dinosaur. Even the croc, which has forward-facing eyes and working front legs, still prefers to eat carrion. It drags prey underwater and waits days for the meat to rot before eating. If crocs default to scavenging, that creates a problem for the T-Rex predator model. So, what does the full profile look like? Let's build a profile. The ideal T Rex victim never sensed danger, never ran, never fought back, and never tried to escape. What does that describe? A corpse. The evidence suggests T Rex and most large theropods were scavengers feeding on the carcasses of massive animals that died of natural causes. According to standard paleontology textbooks, T. rex is classified as a large theropod apex predator. The Smithsonian, the Field Museum, every major institution agrees on this. But even within mainstream science, the scavenger hypothesis has serious supporters. A dead brontosaurus weighing 150 tons could feed a T. rex for months. No hunting required. Those giant serrated teeth, perfect for sawing through thick hide and bone. Those tiny arms, just the right size for pushing scraps out of your mouth or scratching your belly. But wait, the scavenger theory doesn't explain everything either. Look at T. rex's skull. It's full of holes, large fenestrae, open windows in the bone. Every predator on Earth has a solid skull, because in a fight you might take a horn to the face. A skull full of holes is a death trap in combat. You know what animals do have skulls like that? Birds. The fenestrae reduce weight for flight. And here's something most people don't realize. In modern taxonomy, T. rex is literally classified as a bird. All theropods fall under Aves. T. rex is closer to a chicken than to a lizard. That sounds absurd until you line them up. The skull structure, the hollow bones, the three-toed feet, the wishbone. T. rex had all of them. If you stripped the flesh away and scaled it down, you'd be looking at an ostrich. A giant, terrifying ostrich. Now picture that comparison in motion. And ostriches, by the way, are not predators. They eat plants, seeds, and insects. They can run 80 kilometers per hour with their pneumatized hollow bones, exactly the kind of bones T. rex had. Those hollow bones aren't for making a predator bigger, they're for making a runner faster. Now the herbivores. If the predators are suspicious, the plant eaters are even stranger. Take the hadrosaurs, the duck-billed dinosaurs. Mainstream science classifies them as herbivores. But look at their skulls, no front teeth at all. Just a flat, wide bill and rows of grinding molars in the back. That bill is identical to a duck's. And ducks don't eat grass, they filter feed in water. The hadrosaur's crest, that big hollow tube on its head, has always puzzled scientists. The official explanation, it was for making mating calls. But if you put its head underwater, that crest sticks up above the surface. It's a snorkel. The data suggests the animal was feeding on the bottom of shallow water, breathing through its crest. And then it gets stranger. What about those grinding teeth in the back? Perfect for crushing shellfish, crustaceans, and mollusks. Not leaves. The entire jaw structure matches a modern aquatic filter feeder, not a land herbivore. Then there's the ceratopsians, Triceratops, Protoceratops, and all their relatives, and the stegosaurs too. Look at their mouths. Every single one has a beak, a hooked, sharp beak. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you saw a herbivore with a hooked beak? So how does that work exactly? Beaks are terrible for eating plants. You can't grab grass with a beak. You can't strip leaves efficiently. Try picking up a salad with pliers. That's what a beak does to vegetation. But beaks are excellent for cracking shells, gripping slippery prey, and tearing apart small animals. Every modern herbivore has lips and front teeth. Cows, horses, deer, they all need to grab and tear plant material. Nature never once gave a herbivore a hooked beak, but snapping turtles have hooked beaks, and they're predators. And look at the iguanodon. This one's fascinating. It had fully developed hands with 5 fingers, including a massive thumb spike, an obvious weapon. but because its back teeth weren't sharp, scientists labeled it a herbivore. Those hands could grip, slash, and stab. There's a contradiction here with the plant eater label. So, if the predators weren't predators and the herbivores weren't herbivores, what was the Mesozoic actually like? So, here's the picture forming. The so-called predators may not have been predators. The so-called herbivores may not have been herbivores. The categories seem shuffled. And the deeper you look, the stranger it gets. Because the biggest problem with all these animals isn't what they ate, it's that they shouldn't have been able to stand up at all. This is where physics enters the conversation. According to published biomechanics research, every material has a breaking point. Bone is no different. There's a field called material science or strength of materials, and it governs every structure in existence, from bridges to buildings to skeletons. Bone can only carry so much weight per square centimeter before it snaps. Let's do the math. A human weighing 80 kilograms stands on 2 feet with a contact patch of about 110 square centimeters each. That's roughly 360 grams per square centimeter while standing. Walking doubles it, running pushes it higher, but our bones handle it fine. An elephant weighing 5.5 tons walks on 4 wide, padded feet. Each foot has a contact area of about 2000 square centimeters. Divide the weight by total contact area and you get roughly the same pressure as an overweight human. Nature keeps the ratio in a safe zone. Now watch what happens when the numbers break down. Horses push the limits. A 600 kilogram horse stands on 4 small hooves with maybe 240 square centimeters total. That's about 2.5 kilograms per square centimeter. Running doubles it to 5. And horse owners know exactly how easily horses break their legs. This is already near the edge. Now calculate T-Rex. 8.5 tons on 2 legs. Museum skeletons show feet with a contact patch of maybe 450 square centimeters each. That gives us 900 total. Do the math and you get 9.5 kilograms per square centimeter just standing still. Walking pushes it to 1900 and running hits over 40. 40 kilograms per square centimeter. That's 8 times what breaks a horse's leg. At those pressures, bones don't just fracture, they shatter. The data suggests T-Rex couldn't have run. It probably couldn't even have walked without snapping its own legs, not in our current conditions. Want to feel what that's like? Stand on your tiptoes, just on your big toes. That's about 8 kilograms per square centimeter for a normal man. Now imagine quadrupling that. Your toes would snap instantly. That's what T-Rex experienced with every single step according to the standard weight estimates. And yet, the fossils exist, the footprints are real. But the fossils exist, the bones are real. T-Rex did walk and probably ran, so there's a contradiction here. Either the weight is wrong, or the foot placement is wrong, or the environment was radically different. It might be all three. First, the weight. Scientists pile muscle on T-Rex like it's a bodybuilder. But those hollow, pneumatized bones tell a different story. They suggest a lean, streamlined animal, more like an ostrich than a rhino. Strip the excess mass and the animal gets dramatically lighter. Second, the balance problem. Standard estimates put T-Rex at 8 tons, with 5 tons in the front and 3 in the back, balanced by a 6-meter tail. But run the lever calculation from a 7th grade physics textbook and the tail needs to be 14 meters long to balance. It was only 6. There's a problem here with the numbers. A student in 2010 claimed the tail held 45% of all muscle mass to solve this problem. But do the volume calculation. A 6-meter conical tail is about 1.5 cubic meters. At bone and muscle density, that's 1.7 tons maximum, not 3 tons. The math doesn't add up. The neck is suspicious too. Every museum displays T-Rex with a strange hunchback curve in its neck. But look at different skeletons and the neck vertebrae are inconsistent. Different shapes, different sizes, sometimes missing entirely. Some researchers believe vertebrae were removed or rearranged to force that bend. Straighten that neck out, the way reptile and bird necks can extend, and you get a radically different animal, a long-necked, streamlined sprinter. More vertebrae, likely 14 or more, would allow the neck to act as a counterbalance during high-speed running, exactly like an ostrich or a swan uses its neck. And remember those useless arms. Look where they actually attach. Look at where they attach. Now look at an ostrich skeleton or a cassowary. The wings attach much further back along the rib cage. They're not arms at all. They're wings. Small ones, yes, but repositioned to the right place, they become stabilizers for high-speed turning. Think about how you turn when sprinting. You fling your arm out to the side to counterbalance. An ostrich does the same with its wings. Without some kind of lateral stabilizer, a fast biped simply cannot turn. Those tiny T-Rex limbs may not have been vestigial at all. They could have been essential flight surfaces for maneuvering. Now put it all together and see what emerges. Lean body, hollow bones, long neck, small wings, powerful legs, three-toed talons. This animal could run 70 to 80 kilometers an hour. It attacked from above, leaping onto prey, pinning it with massive foot claws, and ripping flesh with that saw-toothed jaw pulling backward. Those foot claws make perfect sense now. Eagles don't kill with their beaks, they kill with their feet, gripping and crushing prey under massive talon pressure. T-Rex had nearly identical foot structure. The real weapons weren't the teeth, they were the feet. And then there are the additional toe claws that paleontologists rarely display. T-Rex had extra toe claws that are typically stored in museum drawers. Prominent foot talons on a supposedly lumbering predator don't fit the standard narrative. On a leaping aerial hunter, they're the whole point. There's a word for an animal like this, actually a very old word. It's lean, fast, long-necked, winged, and attacks from the air by leaping onto prey at high speed. Dragon. Every culture on Earth has dragon legends. Europe, China, Mesoamerica, Africa, everywhere. Giant reptilian creatures that could fly, or at least glide, and attacked from above. Coincidence that the reconstructed T-Rex matches that description almost perfectly? Maybe. But the physics demand it too. Because here's the final puzzle piece, and it's the biggest one. None of this works in our current atmosphere. Even with a lean body, T-Rex was too heavy to leap or glide with those small wings. Those tiny flight surfaces couldn't generate enough lift in air this thin, unless the air was much, much thicker. Stick your hand out a car window at 40 kilometers per hour. The air pushes hard. At 100, it's difficult to hold your arms straight. That's how planes fly. They accelerate until air pressure under the wings generates enough lift. But the denser the medium, the less speed and wing area you need. Look at a submarine. Tiny rudder fins steer a vessel weighing thousands of tons through dense water. If Earth's atmosphere was several times denser than today, everything changes. Small wings generate enormous lift. Hollow bones make sense as weight reduction for flight. Giant insects become possible because dense air carries more oxygen. And massive animals can move because the thicker air partially supports their weight, like buoyancy. So can we actually calculate what that atmosphere looked like? You can actually estimate the required atmospheric density from the bone stress data. If T-Rex needed to reduce its effective ground pressure to survivable levels, and if pneumatized bones indicate flight capability, the atmosphere needed to be roughly 4 to 8 times denser than today. That's not speculation, that's engineering math applied to fossil evidence. In that denser world, the dragon model becomes the most efficient predator imaginable. Sprint at 70 or 80 kilometers per hour, leap, and the thick atmosphere catches those small wings like a parachute in reverse. You don't fly, you glide pounce. A short, devastating aerial attack, exactly like an eagle, but at dinosaur scale. Nature perfected this design for 240 million years. Every feature of the theropod body, the hollow bones, the fenestrated skull, the wing-like forelimbs, the powerful legs and talons, all of it makes sense as an aerial leap predator in a denser atmosphere. Not a single feature needs to be explained away. But in the standard model, every feature is a contradiction. The arms are vestigial, the eyes are in the wrong place, the skull is too fragile, the bones are too light, the tail is too short, the weight doesn't balance, and the ground pressure breaks physics. You have to make excuses for every body part. So what changed? What happened to that denser sky? Something catastrophic changed Earth's atmosphere. Whatever it was wiped out every giant animal. The evidence suggests the dinosaurs didn't die simply because an asteroid hit them. They died because the atmosphere they were built for vanished. In today's thin air, a T-Rex would collapse under its own weight before it took its first step. And maybe, just maybe, some of those animals survived long enough for humans to see them, long enough to become the dragons of Chinese legend, the worms of Norse mythology, the feathered serpents of the Aztecs. Not fantasy, memory. The real question isn't whether T-Rex was a predator. It's why the standard model requires so many impossible features crammed into one animal. Why insist on a model that contradicts basic physics when the evidence points to something far more elegant and far more terrifying? Here's what the bones actually tell us. T-Rex was not the lumbering apex predator of Jurassic Park. It was either a swift, lean scavenger picking clean the carcasses of titans, or it was something even more extraordinary, a dragon built for speed and aerial ambush in a world with a much denser sky. The herbivores weren't what they seem either. Duck-billed filter feeders, beaked shellcrackers, spiked predators misclassified as gentle grazers. The entire Mesozoic food chain may have been scrambled, and the reason could be as simple as one overlooked variable. Earth's atmosphere used to be radically different. I'm not asking you to believe any of this. I'm asking you to look at the bones and do the math yourself. Because when you do, you'll find the same thing I did. The standard story has real contradictions, and the story the bones are actually telling, it's far more interesting. Look closer, question the assumptions, and if you find a flaw in this logic, by all means leave a comment. That's how we get